Vatic Pro and Ronbus are shaking up the power paddle market with $100 paddles that play so well, it's hard to recommend much else in the category. They use modern foam core builds, they come in multiple shapes, and between the two brands, cover a wide range of weight and fill options. Let's dive in. For years, the power category was the one spot without strong budget-friendly options. Most of the R&D and new tech that we saw in the industry was power-focused, and with it came higher prices. Vatic Pro and Ronbus flipped the script here with the release of the Vatic Pro V-Sol Pro and the V-Sol Power, along with the Ronbus Quanta series. All of the paddles I'm covering today are strong picks, regardless of their lower prices. This review isn't so much a deep dive into whether or not they're good or bad paddles, but more just about comparing them, helping you choose the best fit, and seeing if there's any reason to look elsewhere for a more expensive power paddle. If you do find this review helpful and decide to pick one up, please use my code PBEffect or the links in the description to save money and to support my channel. I'll begin with a quick look at the paddle options, the tech behind them, and then from there I'll compare their performance, and then I'll finish up with how they measure up to the power category as a whole, and if there's any reason to spend more outside of these options. So Vatic Pro has two $99 power paddle lines. They have the V-Sol Pro and the V-Sol Power. Each line comes in three shapes. You have a wide body called the Bloom, a hybrid called the Flash, and an elongated called the V7. Both the Flash and the V7 also offer short and long handle options. The blue V-Sol Pro uses the trending EPP foam floating core surrounded by an EVA foam ring, while the red V-Sol Power features an EVA foam core with circular indentations throughout the face. Both designs add flex and deliver power, but with different impact fills and power profiles that I'm going to break down when comparing the offensive ability later here. On the Ronbus side, you have the Quanta series that also comes in at $99 and is available in 5 shapes. They have two elongated options, the R1 with a curved top and the R3 with a squared off top, a hybrid called the R4, and two wide bodies. You have the R2 with a squared top and the R5 with a curved top. With so many options, it's a bit overwhelming here, but you can simplify it down to the R1 elongated, R4 hybrid, and the R2 wide body. Those three have the best swing weight to twist weight ratios for each shape available in the series and offer the most forgiving sweet spots. Construction-wise, the Quantas are similar to the V-Sol Pro. They have an EPP foam core that's surrounded by an EVA ring, but uniquely has a TPE elastomer insert near the throw area that's supposed to help reduce vibrations. I didn't notice the Quanta giving me any less vibrations over the V-Sol Pro, though the design still brings the firepower that lines up with much more expensive options. Alright, so let's get into performance comparisons. The V-Sol Pro and the Quanta both have a high power, high pop profile with a stiff, lively, and hollow feel. They feel very similar to a Gen 3 style paddle like the Yola Pro 4, though the Quanta is a little more hollow feeling than the V-Sol Pro. The V-Sol Power, on the other hand, feels plusher and more muted and has a higher power ceiling than the others on full swings like serves and drives, but it's less poppy, absorbing pace better on resets and dinks while giving up just a little bit of speed on counters and volleys. The V-Sol Powers take a bit more effort to activate its power, while the Pros and Quantas give you that instant pop and power with less work. That makes the Pros and Quantas harder to tame when you're trying to slow the game down, but they give you more offense at the net when countering volleying. All three lines are on the lighter side for swing weight. They're very maneuverable. The Quantas are extremely light though, while the V-Sol paddles are just under average. Even with the lighter build, the V-Sol options still have adequate forgiveness, and adding as little as 3 grams of weight to each side locks in that strong sweet spot. Between the two V-Sol lines, the V-Sol Pro has the edge in forgiveness and can be tuned to have an oversized sweet spot, though the power isn't too far behind it and shouldn't be discounted because of this. The Quantas, meanwhile, are so light stock that they really need weight added to perform well, but once tuned, their sweet spots become oversized and can even outperform the V-Sol's sweet spots if you tune it well. Because of that, the V-Sols are better for players who want solid stock performance or minimal tinkering, while the Quantas are ideal for players who like to customize and add weight. I won't go too deep into each paddle's stats or my recommended weight setups here. There are just too many paddles to cover, but if you do want those specifics, you can check out my written reviews on these paddles. I'll link them in the description. You can also try my new paddle tuning lab, which I just launched. It lets you virtually customize your paddle to see how numbers change and know exactly what accessories you'll need to bring it to life. It takes the guesswork out of tuning. I'll drop a link for that as well. So that's the general performance of these paddles. Now let's talk about how to pick the best fit for your game. Start with the paddle profile. Do you want a high power and high pop like the V-Sol Pro and Quanta, or does the high power and medium pop of the V-Sol Power suit you better? The V-Sol Power suits a wider range of players because it gives you elite top-end power from the backcourt on serves and drives, but then is more controllable and helps you manage pace better than the other two. The trade-off is that it takes some swing speed and skill to unlock the power. If you struggle to generate power on your own, then you may not see the full effect of these. The V-Sol Pro and Quanta, on the other hand, give you immediate access to power and pop without much effort. They're great for players who want easy offense, higher level players who can manage the pop, or players with shorter, smoother strokes that match well with this paddle style. Another thing to consider is feel. There's a big difference here. The V-Sol Pro and the Quanta have a stiffer, crisper, more hollow feel similar to your typical Gen 3 style paddle like the YOLO Pro 4 series, while the Power is plusher and more muted similar to the Vatic Pro Prism series or other control style paddles. I ran a poll on Instagram with over 500 votes, and it was almost a 50-50 split between these two preferences, so if you already know what feel you like, that could push you one way or the other. In short, if you want controllable power or a softer, more muted feel, then go with the V-Sol Power. If you want easier access to offense or prefer crisper Gen 3 style feels, then go with the V-Sol Pro or the Quanta. Now, if you're deciding between the V-Sol Pro and the Quanta, it mostly comes down to how much you like to customize. If you enjoy tinkering with weight, the Quanta can be tuned to reach stronger swing weight and twist weight numbers than the V-Sol, or tuned to maintain high maneuverability with average sweet spots. It just depends on what you want. But the V-Sol Pro plays better and is more forgiving right out of the box, making it the simpler choice for players who don't want to mess with tuning or who want to keep the tuning to a minimum. Once you've selected the series that best suits your game, you need to pick the right shape for yourself. If you already know what your shape preference is, there isn't reason to move off that shape since each shape in every series here plays well and there really isn't one to avoid. However, if you're unsure, here's my little spiel about it. The wide body bloom and R2 shapes are the most maneuverable and the most forgiving, but you give up some reach and offense compared to the other shapes, though I still consider them power paddles. The hybrid flash and R4 models give you a bump in reach over the wide body without giving up too much forgiveness and maneuverability, and is a nice all-around pick. Then the elongated V7 and R1 shapes give you the most reach and offensive potential, but have a drop in forgiveness and are less maneuverable compared to the other options. Now let's compare these to the rest of the market. In the power category, the V-Sol Pro and the Quanta, once tuned, sit near the top in power and pop. Competing with and playing similar to the Selkirk Boomstick at $333, the YOLO Pro 4 at $280, and the Bread and Butter Loco at $180 after code. I like how the V-Sol Pro and Quanta play more compared to the YOLO Pro 4 because their bounce is more predictable and they don't change performance over time, but there are subtle reasons to go with the Boomstick or Loco in specific situations. The Boomstick gives you more pop than all of these options, and then the Loco has a more refined, slightly less hollow feel compared to these others that makes it a little easier to connect with. Both Loco and Boomstick also play fantastic right out of the box, whereas the V-Sol Pro and the Quanta benefit from adding some weight. These differences are pretty minor though, and only worth considering if you highly value one of those differences and think it's worth the extra dollars. The V-Sol Power, on the other hand, compares more closely to other softer power paddles like the Gearbox GX2 Power at $252 after code and the Honolulu J2NF series at $175 after code. The GX2 Power brings more total firepower than the V-Sol Power, while the J2NF has a little less. Feel-wise, the V-Sol Power is closer to the J2NF. It's basically like an amped up J2NF, though not quite as forgiving. The GX2 Power is the best softer feel power paddle that I've used that still packs bigger power and pop. So it's a good alternative if you like the idea of the V-Sol Power but want more pop. The J2NF, meanwhile, is a little toned down in power in comparison, making it easier to keep drives and serves in play if you want a lower level power paddle. So there you have it. Thanks for watching. I hope it helped. Feel free to ask me any questions in the comments about these paddles. I'm happy to dive deeper where needed.